It does not matter who you are playing. A sweep is a sweep. We will recap it next on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is Thursday morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Dominic Cotroneo. I'm the statistician for Bally Sports Wisconsin. I want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. This Mother's Day, get mom something she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners can get $50 off any purchase of $500 or more with the promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. So normally joined by Vinny Rottino, he has today's episode off. We are recapping yesterday's finale against the Pirates, a sweep to complete it over Pittsburgh by a 4-2 final. Brandon Woodruff, man, what a game for Brandon Woodruff. Offense was timely enough. Keston Hiura came up off the deck as well, a great swing from him. And we're going to talk about some of the other stuff too. And today is an off day for the Brewers, so no game to prepare for today, as they are getting ready to head to Philadelphia this weekend. Tomorrow, first pitch will be at 6:05 with Freddie Peralta against Rangers Suarez. And reminder that Sunday, the Brewers are on national television. They are on Sunday Night Baseball, so that should be a lot of fun to get the national spotlight against the Phillies. But let's see about yesterday's game. Man, Brandon Woodruff picking up exactly where Corbin Burnes left off. I mean, Corbin gets 10 strikeouts over 7 innings of work. He did not allow a walk. So how can Brandon Woodruff one-up that? Oh, I don't know, carry a no-hitter into the 5th inning against, or rather into the 6th inning, if I'm not mistaken, against Daniel Vogelbach, who actually eventually broke it up. He did have 2 walks in this game, but Brandon Woodruff's final line read 6 innings, just 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. He got into some deep counts, and we'll talk about why that happened here as well for him to be lifted after 6 innings and 95 pitches. But he gets his second win, not only of the season, but of this homestand. Listen to these numbers for his homestand. 11 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 runs allowed, 3 walks, and 11 strikeouts, and also thus no homers allowed with the 0 runs, of course, making the home opener start against the Cardinals, and here the home finale of this homestand anyway against the Pirates. Look, Brandon Woodruff, Vinny talked about it all week, talked about it in yesterday's show, that when you're seeing so much nasty stuff from Corbin Burnes, and it's a different kind of nasty with Woodruff. It is, here it is, try to hit it. I throw 97-mile-an-hour fastballs complemented by 95-mile-an-hour two-seamers, and a lethal changeup on top of a slider as well that he barely needed to use in yesterday's game. It's 2 different styles of ace, but the fact that the Brewers have 2 legitimate aces, Freddie Peralta, the budding for to be the 3rd ace right now for this team, it is unfair. When Brandon Woodruff is on, he is just as good as anybody in the National League. It's a beautiful thing to watch. At one point, he had 12 consecutive first pitch strikes in this one. He was getting the ball and going. I mean, his first 2 batters of this game saw 13 pitches. Vogelbach, who always gives you a tough AB. They talked about that on the broadcast yesterday, too. And Brian Reynolds, who is going to be an all-star center fielder for the next couple of years for the Pirates, a great, great player. 13 pitches to those 2 guys. He did get them to pop out and strike out, respectively. Then he started to hit a groove after getting a strikeout of Ke'Bryan Hayes. He got a great plan right by Hunter Renfroe, and then he's rolling. He struck out 5 batters in the first 9 he faced, and he struck out 6 in the first 11 he faced. It was just simply dominant today, or yesterday, I should say, against the Pirates. And I know what you're thinking. It's the Pirates. It's what he's supposed to do. And I understand why people say, oh, it's not that great. Well, look, here's the thing. He had a really tough go of it against Chicago, and then he shoves against the Cardinals, who are a very good team. Yes, only 2 strikeouts, but there's 0 runs on the board. That's all that really matters, okay? Having a 0 in the run column. If it's 0 strikeouts and 0 runs on the board in 5 innings, 6 innings pitched, every single pitcher would take it. Today, the fact that he had 0 runs on the board, in addition to the dominance with 9 strikeouts and just 2 walks, and even the single by Vogelbach was a blooper. It was a blooper into shallow center. 6 innings of no loud contact against him. A couple of deep flyouts to center, but you knew they got underneath them. So for Brandon Woodruff to do that, and continue this winning streak, which is now at 4 consecutive wins for the Brewers after the sky was falling against the Cardinals, losing over the weekend a couple of times. But Brandon Woodruff continues to show, while Corbin Burnes was the Cy Young, and we know that, Brandon Woodruff is truly the captain, in my opinion, of this pitching staff because he knows exactly the type of pitcher he is ever since 2019, and he's really taken over as one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher for a while on this staff. He knows that it's his job to either be the stopper, when he's taking the ball, saying, okay, if we're in a losing streak, it's my turn to stop it. And on vice versa, in this scenario from yesterday, they are rolling. Corbin Burnes absolutely shoved against these guys. I got to be just as good, if not better. He rises to the occasion. That sounds like a cliche, I know, but he's doing his job as far as keeping the bullpen fresh. You're getting 6 innings out of your starter. I don't care what you say about starters these days and the fact that they don't go as deep as they used to. They don't need to go as deep, especially with an off day today. And Bill Schroeder talked about this on the show, that you can throw your A bullpen in back-to-back days, given you had Boxberger, Williams, and Hader hot today, not in the scenario they wanted them to be hot today, but the fact that you could throw those guys because of the off day today. You only needed 6 innings out of Brandon Woodruff anyway. That was the plan all along. The fact that he carried a no-hitter into the 6th inning was certainly nice, don't get me wrong, but 6 innings, if it wasn't, let's say it was already 3 or 4 hits, and he was at 89, 90 pitches, he's probably done then as well. It's the same scenario because he did his job. Brandon Woodruff's job is to get it to the 7th inning with the lead, and he certainly did that. And for a while, it looked like it was going to be a 1-0 game for the entirety of this contest until it really got going in the earlier portion of the game in the 2nd inning. Rowdy Tellez, another home run for him. And then Keston Hiura, an opposite field 3-run shot with a 3-1 count against Hiura. Man, Keston hit a charge into that one, really put a sigh of relief into everybody in the dugout, so we thought. All right, a 4-0 game. The A bullpen is up, and then Brent Suter allowed a couple of bloop singles, and with 2 outs, Craig Counsell decided to go to Devin Williams, and it didn't work out. And we'll get into Devin Williams' struggles here in a little bit. But I think the grander point of all this with Brandon Woodruff is that when he's keeping the ball in the ballpark, he'll walk batters from time to time. And yes, the strikeouts are nice, but the big thing with Woodruff, when he's keeping the ball in the ballpark, he's unbeatable. I mean, he doesn't allow many sustained innings of offense, right? He'll have a few walks for sure, but he doesn't allow double followed by single followed by more hard contact. It's really a walk and a bloop single followed by a homer is what's been killing Woodruff over the last few years, and he was really impressive in yesterday's game, to say the least. So really, really good stuff from Woodruff, and I'll close this segment about starting pitching with this, talking about the starters on this homestand. So just on the homestand, Brewers starters in these 7 games through 36 innings, 26 hits allowed, 10 earned runs, and 38 strikeouts. That's a 2.45 ERA over those 36 innings by the starters. And mind you, that is including Freddie Peralta allowing 6 earned runs in just 3 innings of work. That was against the Cardinals last Friday. So the starting pitching is now molding back into what we thought it was going to be. And this weekend, you're going to see Peralta go tomorrow, you're going to see Hauser go on Saturday, and Lauer go on Sunday. So now you have a series where, in the Phillies' eyes, you're thinking, all right, great, we missed Burnes and Woodruff. But Brewers fans know, well, you've got Lauer, who's arguably been off to the best start, just as good of a start as Woodruff has been, and Peralta is due for a great start too, and Hauser got a tough luck loss against the Cardinals. This is great. This is exactly what you planned on paper for what this team to look like pitching-wise. So things to come, and probably Aaron Ashby starting on Monday against the Giants as things look right now, depending on how they want to shake things out using that off day. If they want to keep Corbin Burnes on normal rest, or do they want to go with 1 extra day for Burnes and Woodruff coming after that fill-in off-day makeup game against the Giants from the lockout. That's it. We're going to talk about defensively now. Willy Adames made some great plays yesterday. I got this question over Twitter, but before we do that, I want to remind you, with Mother's Day right around the corner, by the way, y'all, I mean, if you're like me, sometimes you can get down to the last second. Don't wait any longer. You can use our friends at Blue Nile, whether she prefers a statement piece or an everyday subtle elegance. BlueNile.com has fine jewelry options for every single mom. You can shop high-quality classic diamond earrings. They've got elegant tennis bracelets. They've even got gemstone pendant necklaces as well. They are committed to ensuring that the highest ethical standards are observed when they're sourcing their diamonds and jewelry, so you can feel a lot better. Because if you're like me, I don't know much about the jewelry market. So BlueNile.com is an original online jeweler. They started online and they've been helping millions of couples create their perfect engagement ring since 1999. And if you're customizing an engagement ring or designing stud earrings or any of the other options that they have online, Blue Nile will allow you to create a bigger, more brilliant piece than you can imagine at a price you will never find at a traditional jeweler. And expert advice for 24/7 with legendary service that also includes 30-day returns. So this Mother's Day, give mom something she'll treasure forever from BlueNile.com. So Locked On Brewers listeners can get $50 off $500, and this podcast offer is only good through Mother's Day. You got to use the promo code Locked On. Again, Locked On at BlueNile.com. And every order is insured, it ships for free, and it arrives in discreet packaging so she'll never know what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece this Mother's Day at BlueNile.com. Willy Adames, we didn't really get to talk about it in yesterday's episode, but he made some great plays on Tuesday night's game that we didn't really get a chance to talk about. Even Colton Wong's great play in the ninth inning on Tuesday. And then even yesterday, he makes the great double play to end the inning in the seventh inning with Boxberger on the mound. He also just seems to get to everything. He made the final out of the game. And it led me on a rabbit hole of looking at his defensive metrics. And with Willy Adames, stabilizing shortstop. I mean, this time last year, Luis Arias was supposed to be the everyday shortstop. Orlando Arcia was about to be DFA'd, but I think what's happening right now, because looking at Willy Adames' metrics, we know about his arm. His arm is tremendous, and we've seen it a few times already, even on relays and so far this season. But the thing about Willy, when you look at his advanced numbers, it kind of becomes a head-scratcher, because the eye test, watching Willy Adames play, it's a beautiful thing to watch him play shortstop. There are times that you kind of, when he makes errors, it's almost like it was the play he was supposed to make, obviously, but when the plays you think, oh, he's got no chance, and he gets to those balls, it's just like, wait a minute, how is he not making those plays? And he doesn't do it with a huge amount of frequency, obviously. He still doesn't make a whole ton of errors. He made 11 errors last season in the 90-plus games with the Brewers. And yet, with those 11 errors, on the advanced metrics, he had a -2 defensive runs saved rating, which is obviously 2 runs below league average. But when you look to the deeper stuff that encapsulates everything for his position, for where he is in shifts and things like that, he's an above-average defender. So I can't get to the bottom of this as to what is so much better as far as helping him get to a positive 5.6 defensive rating in the National League as a shortstop. That means he's 5 runs better than the average shortstop in the National League. Look, no one's going to be Kevin Newman. Miguel Rojas is a great defensive shortstop. Paul DeYoung over in St. Louis is a great defensive shortstop. But the thing is, with Willy, if you're getting positive defensive metrics out of him, and maybe some of the plays that we marvel at, saying, wow, that's a great play, don't always show up in these defensive metrics, especially for the long haul of a season. Look, we can't look at just 12 games in metrics because it doesn't do us any good. You need to have more opportunities. But just in yesterday's game and just in Tuesday's game, you're seeing Willy really take charge of this infield. Having a Gold Glover to his left in Colton Wong is certainly helping him out, knowing Colton can get to a lot of stuff up the middle and to his right. Traditionally, you're thinking of a shortstop moving to his left to get to those balls, which also allows Willy to maybe take a step or two more toward his right, playing more toward the hole, knowing that his strength is his arm, knowing that if he can get to a ball in the hole between the 5-6 hole, he can show off his arm and fire it across the diamond, and that's where he can be more value. And then Colton Wong showing off his range up the middle, goes off-balance jump throws to first. He makes them look easy and accurate every single time. Up the middle, this is a darn good defense right now. And you look at the numbers, pretty much league average so far this year for the Brewers defense. There have been a few errors here and there, but pretty much league average so far. I think what's most, we've talked about this before on Bally Sports Wisconsin. What's kind of wild, the Brewers do not shift all that much. I know it may feel like they shift a lot, but last season, they were second to last in baseball as far as fewest shifts. They only shifted 17% of the time against hitters. Now, this season need to have a bigger sample size in order to have the new numbers updated. They barely shifted against righties. They shifted enough against lefties, but they trust their defense enough to know that, hey, we've got the right personnel in the right spaces. And in Willy's case, he plays shortstop 24/7. The one who's moving over to the other side of the diamond for lefties is the third baseman. So whether it's Jace Peterson or Mike Brasso or Luis Urias when he comes back, the fact that you have three legitimate infielders, and Rowdy even holds his own over at first base. Don't cut him, short. The fact is, modern day defense requires you to play on both sides of second base, as exhibited by Urias and Peterson moving over to the other side. And when you can have a guy that can show off the range like Wong, it makes Adames a whole lot better as far as where you can position him. Just a step or two makes a huge difference defensively these days as far as making these plays. And Jeff Levering gushed about it in yesterday's broadcast, talking about Tuesday's play, that where Adames had to go deep into the hole to his right, make a backhanded play. It was not a jump throw, but it was more impressive that it wasn't a jump throw, that he was able to plant his right leg, put it in the grass, step and fire. No shuffle, no extra step. Plant and fire and get it there on a line. It was a beautiful throw on Tuesday night. Those are the kind of plays that don't necessarily pop up, instantly in advanced metrics. And I have one more theory on why so many of us love watching Willy Adames play shortstop. It's a stark contrast from what we've seen the last couple of years. We know that Luis Urias got off to a terrible start playing everyday shortstop last year, which thus prompted the move to get Willy Adames. But even before that, Orlando Arcia, in his entire career, has been a negative defensive player. He's been one of the worst defensive shortstops in baseball since 2018. I mean, he was negative multiple runs, negative 10-plus runs in 2018 and in 2019 for where he's playing, what he's able to accomplish defensively. So my theory with this is that we're so used to seeing, balls that you would expect to be knocked down at least by a shortstop, failed by Arcia. And this isn't meant to be a drive-by on Arcia, but the point is that Adames being slightly above league average versus a guy that was well below league average, it makes it look even better. So I was like a lot of fans, when I looked at the advanced metrics, I was kind of surprised at the fact that maybe I was expecting to see Willy be higher up on these leaderboards. It's not like what you'd think, but as long as he's passing the eye test and making the plays he's supposed to be making, which he's already made a couple errors this year, to be fair. He had some weird throws in Chicago, too, on opening weekend. Let's let the season play out and see how much better these defensive metrics can go up for him. If there is a big improvement this year, not having to look over his shoulder anymore, of course, playing shortstop. So that was my little mini bit on Willy Adames. Now I want to get into Devin Williams, though. As before we do that, I want to remind you that we are also presented by betonline.net. They are your number one source for betting stats and sports information. You can find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, news, and basketball playoffs and NHL playoffs are available there on betonline.net. To full disclosure, I am recording this before the Bucks play Game 2, so hopefully it's a 2-0 lead heading down to Chicago. BetOnline is your continued source for sports wagering information. Of course, they've got live betting, playoffs, esports, even casino games on there too. You can head to their website today, or you can use your phone to get there and get in on the trends and learn all about the action at BetOnline, where the game starts. Let's have the Devin Williams conversation, shall we? He comes in to face one batter. All right, that was the plan, to come in and face one batter in the eighth inning with 2 outs, 2 men on. It's a 4-0 ball game. Things are looking A-okay. Let him get an inning, see if he can lock in what he felt in Tuesday's game in the win over the Pirates, and move on to Philly. And, he walked the first batter he faced in Brian Reynolds. Then he allows a single to Ke'Bryan Hayes to score 2 inherited runners from Brent Suter, and then eventually gets the strikeout on Yoshi Tsutsugo. What's going wrong? So we talked about this the other day, recapping the weekend of his struggles on Monday. The thing with Devin right now is the changeup. The scouting report's out, right? This is why a lot of teams, you spend so much time in these hitter meetings going through every single picture of what you're expecting to see, and especially when it's crunch time. You see the iPads in the dugouts, you're looking at film, you're looking at charts, you're looking at what he's doing. And here are some of the numbers that are jumping off the page right now against Devin Williams. 5 of the 6 hits he has allowed this season have been to right-handed hitters. Traditionally, you'd be thinking, okay, a changeup gets lefties out from a right hand, but given it's his out pitch, he has to throw it to both sides. But last year, they really struggled with it still. Righties did. It's his out pitch. It is his slider versus everybody else's slider. He's a two-pitch guy. I know he's got this cutter in his back pocket. He's not using it, so he is still a two-pitch guy. The part of the reason I think that so many teams are sitting on his changeup, there's a new philosophy clearly that if they see it low, they're letting it go by. You're not seeing these chases anymore. They would rather it be called for a strike, prove that he can throw it for a strike, than them chase it. So there's something as far as the delivery or as seeing the ball better nowadays opponents are against Devin Williams, that they're identifying the changeup early enough in its path to the plate to say, oh, I'm going to lay off that. If it's called a strike, so be it. I am not swinging and missing at the changeup. I'd rather be beat by the fastball. And furthermore, righties last season only saw a fastball 29% of the time. Pretty low for a right-on-right matchup, you would think, especially given the fact they hit 400 off fastballs last season. Righties specifically, last season against Devin Williams, hit 400 off of his fastball. This season, they have not got a single hit off of his fastball, and he's using it 44% of the time, almost a split evenly with his changeup and his fastball. And we've seen an emphasis on his fastball in his last couple of outings. I mean, you go back to Tuesday and you go back to yesterday, we've seen a lot more fastballs than usual. The point being is opponents are realizing if you can lay off the changeup, Devin Williams has to rely on locating a fastball to get by you and beat you. And the changeup has hidden one of the flaws of Devin is that while he does throw the fastball hard, don't get me wrong, he doesn't have great fastball command. So until he establishes the fastball, which he tried to do, I mean, it was a 1-2 count against Brian Reynolds there with 2 outs in the 8th inning. He established the fastball those first couple of pitches, and then he tried to throw the cutter and catch him by surprise, but he threw it for a wild pitch and allowed the runners to get to second and third. And from there, the wheels were spinning. A ball, a foul ball, and then finally ball 4 on a fastball. So for teams catching on, realizing the changeup as it is currently designed is designed to get a swing and miss, not so much to get a called strike. As I said earlier, they would rather take a called strike than swing and miss at that changeup. And then when you see the changeup up, when you see a pitch up, be ready to swing, because if it is the changeup and if you're able to identify it, like we saw with Brian Hayes, don't try to kill it, don't try to destroy it. Just time it up and pull it into left field, and you'll get a base hit. And that's what we've seen from all of these righties so far this season as well. The fair question comes, is Devin Williams still the 8th inning guy moving forward? He still has to be, in my opinion, until we see this trend continue. And you may be shouting at your podcast device right now saying, like, well, he's struggling right now. Is that not enough to take him out of the 8th inning role? It's still April 21st. Yeah, and we talked about the numbers from his start last season. They were not very good. He's struggling right now. This is a fact. And if Trevor Gott continues to emerge as a guy that can continue to have high leverage innings, it could be a tandem role. There's another guy, though, that needs to rely on multiple pitches as opposed to Devin relying on one pitch. If the cutter becomes something legitimate, then he can become even more dangerous. But he's still seemingly not ready to use it in game situations. And especially yesterday, coming in inheriting runners, his one job is to get a strikeout. He couldn't get the strikeout. And I wonder if managers opposing now moving forward, traditionally you think, okay, bring in a lefty pinch hitter to face the righty on the mound. I wonder when we're going to see a righty pinch hitter come in to face Devin Williams, given the fact that righties are the only ones that have hit him so far this season. But to answer your question, I believe Devin Williams is going to continue to be in the 8th inning until things get really catastrophic for him. You want to keep his confidence up, want to make sure that he's a huge part of this team moving forward, because, as I've said before, it just kicks the can down the road, meaning, well, if you just move Boxberger to the 8th, you still got to get to the 8th, and that means Williams or Cousins or Gott has to have the 7th inning. So when do you use Williams becomes the question there. Having him defined in the 8th inning is certainly helpful. And man, Josh Hader, save number 102. It's ho-hum for him now at this point. He gets another couple strikeouts on the slider. A pretty painless inning. He allowed an infield single to Michael Chavis. Kevin Newman ended up grounding out to end the game, but It's fun to watch, man. It's going to come around for Williams, but this bullpen is really darn good. The pitching staff's really darn good. I'm not worried. It's April 21st. Like we talk about with the offense, they had just enough today. We can talk about the offense in tomorrow's episode, given it is an off day. We can break things down a little bit more. But the fact is, they just need more innings. They just need more reps. It is still very early, and until you get 100 plate appearances, and until you get, say, about 12, 15, 20 innings under your belt as a reliever, that's when you start to really know what you are as a reliever. So, still time. Let's take a deep breath. Devin Williams is going to figure this out. And if he doesn't, Craig Counsell is the type that would figure out a way to get him incorporated in a better suited role for him. But I still think he is your eighth inning guy moving forward. Okay, this weekend, off day today. Again, another reminder, off day today. The Philadelphia Phillies going back to Citizens Bank Ballpark. Freddie Peralta gets the start tomorrow at 6:05 against Rangers Suarez, a lefty. So maybe see Keston Hiura again tomorrow, given starting against a lefty. If he's the DH, or does McCutchen be the DH, or does McCutchen play left and Yelich have the day off? These are things that Craig Counsell has at his disposal since Kutch had the day off yesterday. Then on Saturday, an earlier start time. Saturday is a 3:05 first pitch. Central Time, that is. Adrian Hauser against Zach Wheeler. And then on Sunday, Eric Lauer and Aaron Nola. I almost said Austin Nola, his brother with San Diego. Aaron Nola at 6:08 on Sunday Night Baseball. So you're seeing two of the main guys for the Phillies, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. They did win in yesterday's game over the Rockies. They are now just 5-8. They're off to a very cold start. Kyle Schwarber hit a moonshot in yesterday's game. But looking at the numbers, of course, the offense is really, really darn good, as we expected it to be. Defensively, not great, and the pitching's not been off to a great start for them. As far as National League goes in the ranks in pitching, they're not doing so hot. I'm trying to pull up the numbers here live on the podcast, but as a team, they have a 5.22 ERA. That is second worst in the National League, only better than the Cincinnati Reds. They are still striking out plenty of batters. They're not walking a ton of guys either, but they have allowed 11 home runs this season, which is a tie in the top half of the league among the fifth and sixth most allowed so far this season. So the pitching has not been great so far for the Phillies. As far as their offense goes, they have the second most homers as an offense with 15 of them. They have scored 57 runs in just those 13 games. That is averaging better than 4 runs per game. So the Brewers offense will have to wake up. They will be going into it with a 208 team batting average and a sub-300 on-base percentage. However, a couple more homers yesterday certainly helps the slugging percentage. They are up to 10 homers on the season. Rowdy got his third of the year yesterday. Man, that dude's on fire. The Brewers, by the way, are now 35-17 in games that he starts since he arrived on July 6th. That's pretty darn good stuff. So the Brewers sweep the Pirates 3 games, and they have won 4 games in a row. They are off today, back in action tomorrow against the Phillies, and we will have more of a breakdown of a kind of a litmus test. Where do we stand? How do things look 13 games into this young season? My name is Dominic Cotroneo. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow me on Twitter at Dom_Cotroneo. Also follow our team show account at Locked On Brewers. That's it for this episode. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, keep on swinging.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.